Hello and welcome to the Biological Anthropology lecture series. I'm Dr. Richard Jonathan O. Tadurin. Here we explore what it means to be human, biologically, evolutionarily, and behaviorally. Let's begin our journey into the science of humanity. Welcome to Module 4, Primatology. Here we study our closest living relatives, their anatomy, behavior, and evolutionary significance. In this section, we focus on primate behavior, communication, and social systems, key windows into human behavior. Let's revisit why social systems are so central to primate life. When we talk about primate behavior, we're really talking about how individuals navigate a world filled with allies, competitors, relatives, and potential mates. Every primate species faces these challenges, but they solve them in different ways, and those solutions form the backbone of their social organization. You might wonder why primates don't all live in the same type of group if they share so many biological traits. Social systems reflect ecological pressures, food distribution, predation risk, reproductive strategies, and they evolve because they help individuals survive and reproduce in particular environments. Let's look at the different residence patterns we see across primates. Some species organize around a single adult male and multiple females. This structure often emerges where resources can support groups, but males must compete intensely for access to mates. In these groups, you tend to see pronounced sexual dimorphism, large body size differences, and impressive canine development in males because competition favors traits that enhance fighting ability. Other species live in multi-male, multi-female groups, where access to mates is more distributed and alliances matter as much as physical strength. Still others form monogamous pairs or live more solitary lives, with individuals coming together primarily for mating. Each of these systems represents a different balance between competition and cooperation. Think about this. A primate species living in dense forest with patchy food may benefit from smaller groups that spread out to find resources. In contrast, a savanna-dwelling species facing high predation pressure might form larger groups for protection. Ecology shapes sociality, and sociality shapes behavior. Understanding this interplay helps us avoid the temptation to treat group structures as fixed or universal. Now, this part becomes especially fascinating when we consider how social systems influence behavior within groups. In multi-male, multi-female societies, for example, rank hierarchies are common, and individuals invest heavily in social relationships. Grooming becomes more than a hygiene behavior. It's a political tool, a way of forming alliances and reducing tension. In one-male groups, the resident male spends considerable energy defending the group from rivals, while females often form strong bonds that support collective infant care and coordinated movement. You might wonder where communication fits into all of this. Social systems create the context in which communication evolves. Alarm calls, dominance displays, submissive gestures, and affiliative behaviors all carry meaning because group members share a social world that requires constant negotiation. In some species, subtle facial expressions and postural cues can diffuse aggression or initiate cooperation without a single sound being made. As we think about humans, it's tempting to draw direct parallels, but the real value lies in recognizing patterns rather than making one-to-one comparisons. Primates show us how flexible social systems can be, how behaviors emerge from ecological and evolutionary pressures, and how individuals balance competition with cooperation. These insights help us interpret early hominin behavior, where direct evidence is sparse but comparative models are powerful. So as we explore primate social systems, keep watching how ecology, anatomy, and behavior intersect. Each social pattern is a response to particular challenges, and by studying them, we gain a deeper understanding of the evolutionary foundations of our own social lives. Let's revisit why cooperation and communication are such defining elements of primate life. Unlike animals that rely primarily on solitary strategies, many primates live in groups where relationships are long-term, negotiated, and immensely important for survival. You might wonder why individuals who compete for food and mates would also invest so much in helping one another. Cooperation isn't just generosity, it's an evolutionary strategy. Behaviors like grooming, forming alliances, or sharing information can reduce stress, strengthen bonds, and improve an individual's chances of thriving within the group. Let's look at grooming as an example. On the surface, it seems like simple cleaning, but think about this. In many primate species, grooming is a kind of social glue. It reinforces alliances, eases tension after conflicts, and can even be exchanged for future support. In multi-male, multi-female groups, individuals often choose grooming partners strategically, balancing friendship, rank, and reciprocity. These patterns remind us that cooperation is seldom random, it's shaped by the social and ecological landscape. Now, communication adds another layer to this. Primates communicate through vocalizations, gestures, facial expressions, and posture, and each signal carries meaning within a shared social world. Consider alarm calls. They're not all the same. In some species, different calls correspond to different predators. A playback experiment, where researchers play a recorded call to observe how animals respond, shows that primates don't just react reflexively. They interpret the call, adjusting their behavior depending on the type of threat. You might wonder what this tells us about cognition. It suggests primates understand context and that their communication systems have more structure than we might assume at first glance. Facial expressions and body language also play crucial roles. A subtle grimace, a raised eyebrow, or a shift in posture can communicate submission, reassurance, or readiness to play. These cues are especially important in species where social hierarchies must be constantly negotiated. They help prevent conflicts from escalating and allow individuals to navigate complex social environments efficiently. Think about this in relation to humans. We depend heavily on nonverbal cues, tone, expression, gesture, to interpret meaning. Primates operate in much the same way. Their communication systems may not be symbolic like human language, but they reveal the evolutionary roots of our capacity to share information, coordinate behavior, and maintain relationships. As we continue exploring primate behavior, keep in mind that cooperation and communication are not separate topics. They reinforce each other, shaping how groups function and how individuals carve out their place within them. By recognizing these patterns in primates, we gain a deeper appreciation of the biological and social foundations that later supported the emergence of human culture, language, and community life. Let's revisit what we mean when we talk about culture and tool use in primates. We're not using culture in a casual sense. In primatology, it refers to behaviors that are learned, shared within a group, and passed down across generations. You might wonder why this is such a significant point. When we see cultural behaviors in non-human primates, we're seeing the evolutionary roots of traditions, learning, and innovation, traits we often think of as uniquely human. Let's look at tool use as a concrete entry point. Jane Goodall's famous observation of chimpanzees fishing for termites revolutionized our understanding of primate cognition. Before that moment, many scientists believed tool-making was exclusive to humans. Watching a chimp strip leaves from a twig, shape it, and use it with precision showed otherwise. And it didn't stop there. In some populations, chimps crack nuts with stones. In others, they craft spears to hunt small animals. Think about this. These behaviors aren't hardwired. Individuals learn them by watching others, often over years. And different communities develop different techniques. That variation is exactly what we expect in cultural traditions. Now consider how these behaviors spread. Young primates pay close attention to skilled group members. They imitate, practice, fail, and try again. This kind of social learning creates behavioral signatures unique to specific groups, even when the environment offers the same raw materials. You might wonder why one group cracks nuts while another does not. The answer lies not just in ecology, but in the social transmission of knowledge. Tool use also tells us something about problem solving and foresight. A chimp selecting the right size stone or modifying a stick is making decisions based on experience and intention. These behaviors require coordination between cognitive abilities and fine motor skills, traits that provide valuable parallels for interpreting early hominin fossils, especially when we find cut marks or stone tools alongside skeletal remains. This becomes even more interesting when we look at ethnoprimatology, the study of interactions between humans and non-human primates. In many regions, primates adapt culturally to human presence, raiding crops, learning to navigate built environments, or altering their daily schedules to avoid people. These behaviors evolve quickly and illustrate how flexible primate culture can be. So as you think about primate culture and tool use, don't see them as rare curiosities. See them as ongoing experiments in learning, innovation, and adaptation. They help us imagine what the earliest steps toward human culture looked like and remind us that the foundations of our complex behaviors were laid long before our species emerged. Let's revisit what this section has shown us. When we examine primate social systems, cooperation, communication, and even cultural traditions, we're not just observing interesting animal behavior. We're seeing the evolutionary backdrop of our own social world. You might wonder why grooming patterns, alarm calls, or tool traditions should matter to us. Now, this part is important. These behaviors offer living models for understanding how early hominins navigated their environments, formed relationships, and solved problems long before written history. Let's look at the broader picture. Primate groups are constantly negotiating alliances, hierarchies, and conflicts. Their social lives are dynamic, flexible, and deeply influenced by ecological pressures. When we see a grooming exchange resolve tension or a call warn others of a predator, we're watching strategies that have been shaped by evolutionary forces similar to those that shaped our ancestors. Think about this. Many of the behaviors we take for granted, building friendships, managing conflict, communicating emotion, have roots that stretch far beyond the human lineage. Tool use and cultural variation push this connection even further. When primates learn from one another and pass behaviors across generations, we glimpse the early foundations of human cultural evolution. These parallels don't make primates little humans, but they do remind us that our capacities emerged gradually from earlier patterns of learning and cooperation. Now let's revisit what this module has helped us uncover. By exploring primate anatomy, diversity, and behavior, we've been able to trace the evolutionary threads that connect us to a much larger primate story. You might wonder why spending so much time on locomotion, dental patterns, grooming rituals, or alarm calls is necessary in a course on human evolution. Now, this part is important. Primates give us a living reference point. They show us how certain traits, physical, social, and cognitive, emerged long before Homo sapiens appeared. Let's look at the big picture. When we examined adaptations like grasping hands, depth perception, and flexible joints, we were seeing the biological foundations upon which human evolution later built. When we moved into primate taxonomy, we learned how different branches of the primate family tree adapted to different ecological challenges, helping us understand why hominins evolved the traits they did. And when we explored social systems, communication, cooperation, and culture, we saw behaviors that echo into our own species, forming alliances, learning from others, solving problems together. Think about this. Every primate we studied, lemur, monkey, ape, represents a different evolutionary experiment. By understanding those experiments, we sharpen our ability to interpret the fossil record and reconstruct the behavior of early humans. As we transition into the next module, carry these insights with you. Primatology doesn't just sit alongside human evolution, it illuminates it. By understanding primates, we understand ourselves with far greater clarity. Thank you for joining this lecture. I'm Dr. Richard Jonathan O. Tadurin. I hope this session deepened your understanding of biological anthropology. Keep exploring what it means to be human. See you soon.